Hi there, everybody. Fiona Pearman and Kate Borah coming to you today to talk about learning in community and why that's so incredibly important. One of the things Kate and I love about our work is that we get to do a lot of deep group coaching, and there's something alchemical that happens when we have a bunch of like-minded women in a room together. And one of the pieces that sits around this is there's been some nice research and work. Charles Duhigg is a proponent of this, that there are two things that tend to create sustained behaviour change. One is a life crisis, something really dramatic happening, potentially someone dying in our world, or a cancer diagnosis, and we would prefer not to have to go down that path to learn things. The other place that humans learn incredibly well, and we see the sustained shift, is when they do it from and with others, when we're in community, when we're in dialogue, conversations, and circles with other people. That really seems to make a big difference to how we learn and how much we retain.
Yeah, this is a critical part of our learning philosophy, and really a big part of why we see so much transformation personally and professionally with our clients that go through the Acts of Confidence program. I think when we sit back and we observe, and even just listening into this morning's Q&A session, what happens when we're with others who are in a similar experience is the first thing, it normalizes everything that I feel and see. We had a client share this morning, stepping up and speaking in front of her whole organization, right? Which for many of us is a stressful, overwhelming, and probably something that would make us nervous, right? And so when someone else shares that experience and shares how that feels, it makes it normal, right? But someone else who's sitting there, who's listening, who's hearing, it's like, oh my gosh, that happens for me too. And when people experience that, it makes it okay. It makes it that this is just something that happens to many people, not just to me. And in that aha moment, in that recognition, all of a sudden, it seems something easier to navigate. It's something that I need to be resourced to meet, as opposed to, oh my goodness, there's something wrong with me. This is just something about who I am, how I am. I'm not going to be able to fix it. And so the normalization piece, we see it all the time when we do our big Career Accelerator events, and you've got people in chat feeds sharing, about perspectives or concerns or worries about being visible, speaking up, building brand profile, all those sorts of things. There is really a collective release, kind of, oh, it's not just me. I'm not the only one.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful, this sense that, I don't have to take this so personally. I don't have to see this all as being something that's wrong with me or something that I can't do, because as we see others, we start to get some really cool evidence. Our methodology, our work that we do in all our programs, particularly our Acts of Confidence program, is to resource people to take small acts of confidence. And as we do that, as individuals do that, it's inspiring to others. We see the change, we see what happened to them, we see that their worst fears are very rarely realized. Yes, of course, we're going to have the fears. Yes, of course, it's going to feel uncomfortable. And when we take the action, things shift and we learn from the experience, and it's it's usually far more rewarding than we could have imagined it would be. And that sharing, that evidence that we get, is not just for us. When we're in community, when we're in groups, we see it time and time again, and we are then more willing to give something a go ourselves because our teammate, our classmate, our peer coach, they did it. And so I'm willing to give it a go too.
Yeah, it's leveraging the lessons of other people's experience, right? And there's shortcuts in that for sure. I think this piece around support and accountability is really huge. Support when things are tough, knowing that you've just got people next to you, beside you, to offer you a different perspective, to help pull you up, and maybe just people who have been there, done that, had a similar experience. That's really helpful. I think the other piece that we know is really critical is accountability. All of a sudden, I'm in this with someone else. All of a sudden, I've declared my commitments. to other people. And I'm going to have to show up next week and talk about how I'm going with those commitments. That obligation creates some really healthy tension and pressure to do what I said I was going to do, right? To honor the integrity of myself, but equally to be able to set boundaries and prioritize what I say is really important. And we know all of those different dynamics creates really good tension around individuals when they're inherently navigating some of the roadblocks that come up, whether that's fear roadblocks, whether that's just capacity roadblocks in terms of other priorities. And so all of these things collectively really do create the magic that in our experience allows people to go further, faster, and in a far more supported way that is really critical to navigating through some pretty big things, right? In a way that is self-compassionate, but also gentle on individuals' health and well-being.
And I think this is where there is so much value in understanding what happens, what's different to being in a group of people as opposed to trying to do something on my own. Certainly individual learning can be useful, and there are times when it's really powerful, but the difference, the substance of what happens and the depth that we go to and the support that's available and the way in which we engage with the learning when we're doing it with a cohort of other people in a similar circumstance is something quite different. And it does allow us to be more vulnerable. It allows us to go places that we wouldn't normally go. And when we do that, the learning embeds itself. It becomes part of who we are. And so the shift, the transformation, once we get there, it doesn't feel so effortful. It doesn't feel difficult. It doesn't feel challenging because it's become part of me. And what we've seen time and time again, it's far more likely we'll get there when we do that in consultation, in rooms, when we're with other people. And that's what we really love, I think, about this work, is that it is transformational, and it happens when we do it individually alongside other people.
So I'm going to leave it there. If you've enjoyed today's confidence conversation, we'd love to hear from you, and of course for you to share with anyone who you think would find it useful and helpful. If you would like to dig into or find out more about our work, head over to our YouTube channel. Hundreds and hundreds of videos for you to dig into any of the different contexts or content that we do and talk about. And if and when you're ready to go deeper with your relationship with core confidence, visit our website, coreconfidence.com.au.